last night I was setting up here in such a way that when the model comes, I will be able to copy the manual. Almost 9 o'clock. The hobby store will be open in about 1 hour. Speaking of hobby store, I guess you gathered it did not call me yesterday. And yeah, too bad. So anyway, now that I can hear myself think, oh, here we go again. Well, at least this one's not so loud. Anyhow, yeah, I had this lens on. And I was getting all set up here, you know, so that I could photograph something. I'm assuming the manual is going to be about this size right here. And to my surprise, I found out that this lens, if you have it set so it's sharp in the center, the edge sharpness, especially up in the corners, like up here, it was a little bit on the fuzzy side. And so I checked to make sure that the camera, you know, is angled so that this is at 90 degrees to the lens and everything's just right. And yeah, everything was just fine. Yeah, that was a huge surprise because right now I've just got the my ordinary lens on, the normal lens, the 50 millimeter, and it's probably only 1/3 the price of this. And it's actually sharper in the corners. Like you should notice it's sharp here and it'll be sharper way over here. You should actually be able to see the weave in that microfiber cloth. Anyway, that is if you're watching it on a high-def screen, that is. So, yeah, interesting. I'm kind of disappointed. But the what I'm trying to say here, among other things, I guess I should have pushed record about 5 minutes later, but anyway, we'll continue on. When the manual does come, if I ever get this thing, I want to record every page so I can bring it up on the computer. Yeah, well, I'm going to go and edit this scene and see how it sounds. I might have to reshoot it. Now, there's something that probably a lot of you have already noticed, and that is that when I'm doing something, I have a hard time concentrating on what I'm saying. Can't do two things at the same time, I guess. Anyway, when there's a noise going on in the background, it's even worse. You'll recall a few episodes back I was saying I was going to be more mindful as to when I pushed the record button because of the clocks. Well, I've just got to be more mindful from now on. Now, this shouldn't make a difference, but I removed the normal lens, and I've also taken the filter off of the front of the large lens. And I've printed out a grid here, and I'm just going to test this out again and see if possibly by removing this filter, could possibly that make a difference? But I don't think so, because when I look through this filter, you know, with it at an acute angle, like I'm looking through at an angle like this, and passing out here, if you know what I mean, looking through almost all of the glass, I can't really see any distortion. So I can't see how that can affect it, but I'm going to just test it out anyway. Now for you camera buffs, you'll be interested to know that I used a wireless remote shutter release. And from the time the mirror locked up until the shutter went off, there was a 2-second delay to prevent any vibration from mirror slap. I did use the autofocus, however. I find with this lens it actually does an excellent job at autofocus, especially with something like this. And one other thing I was going to say, oh yeah, I had 200 ISO for all the shots. So what do I think was the best? Well, on the big zoom lens, 5.6 had the best center sharpness, whereas 22 had the best edge. Now, the 50mm at f11, it seemed to beat it overall, and I'll toggle back and forth between the edge sharpness of the zoom and the 50mm, and you should be able to see the difference. I can see the difference. Well, about an hour or so ago, I found another place here in Winnipeg that sells models. And the guy I talked to there, he can get this particular model that I'm after, and he says he can have it here in about by Monday. Now he wanted more money, probably because of the fast shipping or something, I don't know. Anyway, Cellar Dweller did not phone yet today. And it's about 10 after 2. So, yeah. We'll give them a call again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be 1 week from the day we last called them. Give them another try, see what's happening here. I don't want to cancel this late. It's like I was saying originally, they were, where I had dealt all along years ago, and it sort of like for old time's sake. They were a little bit more money than the cheapest place in town, but the cheapest place in town said that it was probably in a container still in China, and they were thinking, a couple of months or so. Where Cellar Dweller said by the end of next week. Well, the end of next week at that time would have been like 2 weeks ago, right? Anyway, this is dragging on and on and on and on. And I don't have anything much more to talk about, so that's all I'm talking about now. Yeah. We'll phone Cellar Dweller tomorrow and see what happened. In the meantime, they might give me a call yet. They're still open for another almost 4 hours, so maybe I'll have good news for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.